can work on our project for Access 2013, Chapter 1. And we just jump into SAM. Okay, and right now I have the projects for Access 2013 available under Always Available Assignments. So just click on Always Available Assignments and just scroll down to Project Access Chapter 1. And go ahead and download your files and your instructions if you would like to. Okay. Enable content. I'm going to save mine to my desktop. And let's see here. Sorry. Save into the desktop. Right there. Okay. And again, enabling editing. All right. So for those of you who are new to Microsoft Access 2013, Access is essentially a database or a database management system which contains relational databases which allow you to access, retrieve, and use your data that's in the database. So in Word, we did some work. Word was essentially a word processor for putting together documents and doing mail merges. And then we did some work in Excel where we started getting used to tables and data. Access actually takes it a step further and allows you to design relational databases so that you can, it's more powerful than just working in Excel. So as you start to get to the point where you need to build relationships that are a little bit more complex than Excel can handle, or if you need to use some queries or forms or reports, Access is the way to go. So again, Access is a relational database consisting of tables, all right, and tables are where we store our data, and I will show you those in just a moment. In your tables now, in your table, the rows are essentially records, and your columns are fields, right? So your database contains records and fields. Well, the rows represent records and the columns represent fields, and each table has a unique identifier or a unique way of identifying each record in a database. So in addition to tables, our Access database also consists of queries, forms, and reports. And queries are instructions that we write to go through and sift through the data, find information for us. Forms are actually, it's a form that we can design to make it easier to input data or to read data and manipulate data. And then reports are the reports that we can generate to see the data that we have in our database or in our tables, which are in our database. So as you can see, we opened up Access right here, and we are going to do the exercise for Chapter 1. And if we take a look at number 1, first thing we need to do is we need to create a new table in the datasheet view with the following options. We're going to rename the default primary key ID to state. We're going to change the data type to short text. And then 1B, we're going to change the field size of the state field to 2. 1C, we're going to add a new field with the name state name, and we're going to change that data type to short text as well. And then number 4, we're going to save the table with the name states. So first thing we're going to do then is we are going to go up to the ribbon, and we need to create a new table. So I'm going to go up to create, and I'm going to go to the tables group, and I'm going to actually create my table in the design view. Okay, it's easier, at least at this point it's a little bit easier. So we're going to create this in the design view, and if you look down at the bottom, all the way down here at the bottom right corner of the screen, when we're working with a table, we can use a datasheet view or we can use a design view, and this is the design view right here. So the first thing we need to do is enter the name of the first field in our table, and that's going to be state. And the data type for state is going to be short text, which is coming up automatically. Okay, and we're going to go back and we're going to change the field size to 2. So if you look at, I'm coming all the way down here and I'm just changing the field size to 2. Okay, and that is also short text. So right now we're good to go. We're going to add one more field, and that's going to be state name with no space. And again, state name is going to be short text. So right now in this table that we just set up, we have 2 fields. One is state name and one is state. Now, if we go back and we look at 1A, they want us to make sure that state is the primary key. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come up here to state. I'm going to right click right on the row, and I'm going to change it to primary key. And you can see the little key pops up right here, and that indicate, oh, except that's not the one we want, right? We want state to be the primary key. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to turn that off. Sorry about that. I'm going to move up to state, and I'm going to make sure I have the state field selected. I'm going to right click and I'm going to make state the primary key. Okay, so again, state is our primary key. If we come down here, we look, we have a field size of 2. Then we have a second field, which is state name. And that one is also short text. They're both short text. And we're going to save the table with the name states. And to save the table, I'm just going to go up right up to the tab where it says table 1. And I'm going to say close. And since this is a brand new table, it's going to ask me what we want to call it. And we're going to call it states, S-T-A-T-E-S. We're going to click OK. And there we go. So now if you look over here in the tables, underneath tables, you could see that we have our new tables called states. I'm actually going to close that table too, just because I don't like to have a lot of tabs up when I'm working. Okay, now I'm going to open the states table back up, and you can see when it opened up, by default it opened up in the datasheet view. Okay, we were just working in the design view. Now we're in the datasheet view, and I'm going to enter the states that are in the table in our instructions. So the first state we're going to enter is Massachusetts, so MA, and then I'm just going to tab over to state name, and it's Massachussetts. Okay. Then I'm going to click tab, and it automatically tabs me down so I can add my next state, which is ME, and that is for Maine. And I'm going to hit tab, and I'm going to enter NH, and tab again. That is New Hampshire. Okay, so I type in New Hampshire, and I hit tab, and VT, tab, which is Vermont, and tab. Okay, so I just entered in the 4 states that are listed. Okay, and now for number 3, we want to resize the state name field so that all the field values are completely visible. And this is very much the same way that it was in Excel. So if you remember, we just come right up here and click twice, and it actually made the column a little bit larger, or the field a little bit larger, so that we can see the entire name of New Hampshire listed. So again, I just went right up here till I got the little cross, and I clicked twice with the left mouse button, and it automatically widened out the field or the column for us. So that's number 3. Now we also have to save and close. So again, I'm going to right click on the tab, I'm going to save it, and I'm going to close it. Okay. Now what we're going to do is, for number 4, we're going to open the guides table in datasheet view. So I'm coming down to guides. This is the under tables. I'm coming down to guides right here, and I'm going to left click twice to open up the data in the guides table. Okay, and we're going to add a new field following the postal code. So if I come across all of these fields at the top, I'm coming over to postal code. All right, and let's see, I'm just going to click right here where it says click to add. So I'll do that again for you. Coming across the top, here's postal code. Just to the right of postal code is the column which says click to add, representing the new field that we are going to add. And we're going to call this field years experience. So years experience with no space. Okay. And we want to make the data type number. So to change the data type, when we are in the datasheet view, to change the number type, oh, and I made a mistake there too, so I'm going to undo that. Just a second. Coming up to, let's see here, I'm going to rename that field, and I'm naming it years experience. Okay, so the field is called years experience. Enter. And I want that to be a number type. Oh, delete that field. Okay. Now, if I want to check to make, if I want to check and make sure that years experience is actually number type, what I could do is I can go back up to the ribbon, and I can go to Home, and I click on Fields. Okay, and then I come over to the data type, and you can see because I made a couple of mistakes, the data type for this particular field is still short text by default. So I'm going to click on the triangle, and I'm going to change it to number, and it's giving me a warning that some of the data may be lost. In this case, I'm okay because the instructions want us to change it to number, so I click yes. And now I've got a number type for years experience. So again, what we did there is we took a look at all of the fields, which are also the columns across the top. We went all the way to the end next to postal code, and we typed in and added years experience, and then we made sure to set the data type to number. And because I made a mistake and didn't do it right away, then I went up on the ribbon. I went to under table tools, I went to fields, I went to the group formatting, and I changed the data type to number. Okay, I did it the hard way, but you got to see a little bit of access there. Now, again, I'm going to right click on the tab for the table. I'm going to save it, and I'm going to close it. Okay, and now for number 5, I'm going to open the trips table in the design view. So again, I'm going to left click twice on trips, and it automatically opens up in the design view. And let's see, what are we going to do here? We're going to make the following changes to the distance field. So I'm coming over to distance. All right, and the first thing we want to do is we want to change the data type from short text to number. So if you remember, first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on the distance field, and again, if I go up to table tools and fields, and I go to the formatting group, I can go right up to that data type, which is short text, and I can change it to number, and I'm going to say yes. And there we go. We changed that right to number. The next thing we want to do is we want to change the caption property to distance miles. So to change the caption property on this particular field, we are going to go over to Home. Let's see. Actually, we're going to Fields. I'm sorry. So we're under Table Tools and Fields. Then we're going to the group Properties, and we're coming up to Name and Caption. And when I click on that, you can see the name of the field distance comes up. Okay, but now I want to change the caption to add distance, parentheses, miles, and close the parentheses. And I click OK, and we are good to go. Now, number 6, with the trips table still open in design view, we want to make the following changes to the group size field. So again, we come over to the group size field. We're going to change the data type to number. Okay, so I select group size. I come up to table tools and fields. I'm going to the formatting group. I'm going up to data type, and I'm changing that data type to number. I get the same warning that I received before. I'm going to click yes. Okay. And now it wants me to change the decimal places property from auto to 0. And remember, I've been working in the datasheet view, but I'm going to come down and I'm going to switch over to design view. Okay, so now I switched over to design view, and I'm coming down to the field properties. And let's see here. Where did it go? Actually, let's pop back out to our datasheet view. Group size, fields. Just 1 second here. Let's see. Put map. Okay, so here's how we get there. We're going to go back down to the design view. Okay, if you're not already in design view, go to the lower right hand corner of the screen, click on design view, and we are working with the group size field. So I'm going to come down here and click on group size, and you can see it changes the field properties down below. And within the field properties, I'm going to go to decimal places, and when I click inside that table for decimal places, I get a triangle that comes up, and I'm going to switch it from auto to 0. Okay, see right down here under the field properties so I have group size field name. I come down to the field properties, I go to decimal places, and when I click inside decimal places, the properties, I get a triangle that comes up, and I can change it from auto to 0. Okay, so that's where that is. Then I'm going to go back, and I'm going to save that. And I'm coming back to the group size. I'm coming back to the design view, and I'm going up to group size and selecting group size, and I'm coming up to fields, and under the properties group, I'm going to change the name and caption to maximum group size. Maximum space group space size, and I'm going to click OK. Okay, so for number 7, with the trips table still open, we're going to change the field size property for the state field to 2. So we're going to go up and we're going to select the state field, and again we're coming up to table tools fields, and under the properties group we're just going to come over and change the field size from 255 to 2. Okay, and there's our warning. Click yes, and we're good to go there. Now for number 8, we're going to import data from the Excel file that is part of this lesson. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to append those records from Excel into the trips table. So again, here we are, we're in the trips table, and I'm just going to right click. I'm going to choose import. I'm going to import from Excel. And first thing you do is you need to browse wherever you put those documents. You need to find them. So I'm going to open up that Excel document. And by default, it's asking me if I want to import the source data into a new table. But I don't want to use a new table. I actually want to append a copy of the records to the table. So I'm going to click on the second choice. And then I have to come down and I have to choose the trips table. And I'm going to click OK. Oh, and it says the table must be closed before proceeding. So I'm going to save the changes and close the table. Yes. Okay. And now I'm just going to take all of the defaults here. So I'm going to click Next. I'm going to click Next. The import table is going to be trips. So I'm going to click Finish. I am not going to analyze my table after importing the data in this case. And I am not going to save the import steps. I'm just going to click Close. And now the data has been imported in step number 8, and we will see it in just a minute when we open it up. So now what we want to do for number 9 is we want to open the trips table. So again, I'm going to left click on trips, and it automatically opens up in the datasheet view. And I'm going to go to the third record in the table, and I'm going over to the guide ID field. Okay, and I want to enter in KS01. KS01. So I'm updating that guide ID manually, and now I'm going up to the record right above it, and I'm going to update the guide ID there to RH01, and I'm just going to hit enter, and again I'm going to right click and save, and I'm going to right click and close. So I finished my work there. Number 10, I'm going to open up the guide listing query in the design view. So again, I'm coming down to queries, and I'm going to the guide listing query, and I'm opening that up. And for this particular exercise, I'm going to switch it over to the, let's see, I'm going to switch it to design view. Okay, so we were in table view, that's table view, and I'm going down to the lower right hand corner of the screen, and I'm clicking to design view, and I am going to come over to state guides, and I'm going to modify the criteria so that the query will only give me states, the state of New Hampshire. Okay, so and I clicked in NH, and then I hit enter, and after I do that, I want to actually run the query. So I'm coming up to design under query tools, and I'm just going to go to the results group, and I'm going to click the run button. So I click run, and you can see when we take another look at the table now, the query ran, and it's giving us only the state of New Hampshire, only records that include the field with the state of New Hampshire in it. All right, so number 11, now I want to use the simple query wizard to create a new query, and before I even do that, I'm going to again go up to the tab, and I'm going to save, and I'm going to right click and close after I save. Okay, now I want to use the simple query wizard to create a query on the trips table with the following options. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to trips. I'm going to open up the trips table. I'm going to go to the create button on the ribbon, and I'm going to go to the queries group, and I'm going to go to query wizard. So again, it's create, then queries, then query wizard. Click on that, and by default I want to use the simple query wizard, so I'm going to click OK, and this is for the trips table, and within the trips table I want to select all of the records, so or all of the fields. So I'm going to click on the double arrows, it moves them all over to selected. I'm going to click next. I want detail, which we have by default. I'm going to click next. And the title of this is going to be trips query. And I'm going to open the query to view the information, and I'm going to click finish. Okay, so now we have the trips query from the trips table. I'm going to come back up to trips query. I'm going to save, and I'm going to close. Okay, so on to number 12, we want to create a simple form for the trips table. And for that, again, I am going to go to create, and I'm going to come up to the group forms, and I'm going to go to the button form, and you can see it created a very simple form for us, just like it said it would. And we don't have to do anything to the form at this time, so I'm going to right click on the tab. I'm going to save it. For the name, it's going to be trips form. I'm going to click OK. And you can see right over here now under forms, we now have the trips form. So we created a trips table, or we've updated the trips table. We now have a trips query, and we have a trips form. Okay, now number 13, we're going to do the same thing, only this time we are going to create a trips report. So again, I'm going to just save that and close it. And I'm going to go up to create. I'm going to go to the group reports. I'm going to click on the report button. And we now have a report that is there by default. I'm going to right click on it to save it. I'm going to call it trips report. I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to close the report. So now you can see we've created a trips query, a trips form, and a trips report. Okay, number 14. We are going to open the guide update form in the form view and navigate to the second record, which has the guide ID of BR01, and we're going to change the address to 140 Oak Stump Road. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is we have to open up the guide update form. So I'm coming over here to forms, going down to guide update form, and I'm left clicking twice. It opens it up. Now to get to this is the first record. So to get to the second record, I am going to come down to the button or the bar on the bottom, and I'm just going to click to go to next record. And you can see I get to the record, which is BR01. I'm coming down to the address, and I'm just going to enter in 140 Oak Stump. And for road, it's RD and a period. And then I'm going to save it, and I'm going to close it. Okay, now number 15, we're going to open the guide contact numbers report. So we're coming down to reports on the left. We're going to guide contact numbers. I'm left clicking twice, and I have the guide contact numbers report open. Now we've opened it up in the, let's see here, we're going to switch to the layout view. And under layout view, I'm just going to click on the box for guide contact, and I'm going to add in numbers. So again, I went down here to the bottom right hand corner. I switched to layout view. We were in report view. I switched to layout view, and then I just left clicked on guide contact, and I updated and added numbers. Okay, again, I'm going to save it, and I'm going to left click and close it. Okay, that was number 15. And let's go to number 16. We're going to open the reservations table in the data sheet view. So again, we go up to tables. I'm going to left click on reservations. Okay. And I'm going to add a new field following the trip date. So I look at the fields across the top and I come all the way down to trip date. I'm going to the next one. I'm going to click to add. And this is going to be a number field. So I'm going to select number. And then I'm going to type in the name, group size. And again, we've already switched the data type. So I'm going to go back up to the tab. I'm going to right click. I'm going to save it. I'm going to close it. And we are finished. We did 1 through 16. So I'm going back up to File. And I'm going to save it to the desktop. Let's see here. Save. Desktop. And there you go. All you have to do is go ahead and upload and you're good to go. Be sure to check out the next video for Microsoft Access Chapter 2. Thanks everyone. If you have any questions, just shoot me an email. I will be checking them daily and I'll get back to you within 24 hours if you shoot me an email. Thanks.